stuff. People are gonna file in. So when Jask initially told me what you do for a living, I was just like, wow. Like, you've done stuff for wizards, and like you make money being a DM. Like,
well, that's not just his.
Yeah.
This is technically his side gig.
yeah,
Yeah, this is my side gig. I'm actually a therapist. I do one-on-one autism therapy for kids.
we know so many therapists, Jask. We know
Yeah,
like three.
Lindsay in my Hecknet campaign
Yeah,
is also a therapist.
that's really cool that you're like helping the kids, and then you do D&D. That's really dope. Yes, I enjoy that.
Same, and D&D for me is a way to help people. I'm actually looking into. There's a course one of my friends directed me towards that's an actual therapeutic license for D&D to be a DM therapist, a licensed.
That's a thing.
It is now, yes.
When you get the chance, you should send that to me because I think Lindsay would be super all about that.
Yeah, Jim is super all about that. What the hell?
I mean, yeah.
Like, that's great.
Right?
Actually, Rob sent that in the group chat, so we might be able to find that.
Okay, yeah. I'll just have to search that then.
Yeah.
Problem for future me.
Same.
Yeah, I'm waiting for some people to show up before I launch in proper, but like,
Yeah.
I think people are just taking their sweet ass time.
I'm gonna feel real bad. I hate doing this, but I'm gonna ping my Discord for this.
Yeah, ping the freaking Discord. Ping us.
I don't like hitting at everyone or at here.
Ping us
because I know it annoys me, but I know it annoys me because I'm in like 2 billion Discords. So if everybody was doing that, I would die.
I'm gonna drop a thing in my other friend's Discord. Hold on.
Did you make an announcement on yours?
I think you did, dog.
Not this time.
No? Okay, we're gonna do it in stream announcements. Boom. We stream podcast. Very nice.
I played with Solus again today. Yep, absolute delight having her in my tables. I goddamn.
She's such just an amazing player.
Yeah, like for being as young as she is, I am. Every time I hear her roleplay, I'm amazed by it. Like,
yeah.
And she sang one of her songs, and like I was like, I'm just gonna turn in my bard card, man. Like I play bards. I thought I was good at playing bards. What's up, Undead? How you doing?
She sang something in slap. I forget what it's called.
Slap.
Is it shake and slap?
Wiggle. Wiggle and
slap and wiggle. Yep.
Wiggle and slap. Wiggle and slap.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, we got a couple of people here, so I think I'm gonna launch into I control this podcast mode now.
Yeah.
Good greetings, everyone. My name is Dokuro Jim. It is back again. It is again time for 2 DMs, 1 podcast, except now we have 3 DMs because we have a guest. What do you want me to call you?
You can call me Kenneth.
Just call you Kenneth? Okay. We have Kenneth, who is Jask's DM. So it's like DMception up in this bitch. It's good. It's good. It's great.
Hey, happy to be here.
Yeah. Because we got me, who is a DM. We got Jask, who is my DM. And then we have Kenneth, who is Jask's DM, who is DM'd for me, I'm a DM. It's like we're missing
a Russian nesting doll.
Leonardo DiCaprio. Yes, I can speak, I can talk. I swear. I swear I am paid to talk. I swear to you. All right. So, big question first. And I know you're going to have a kick-ass answer for this because I already like the way you explain things. Kenneth, what does DMing mean to you? What does D&D mean to you? What does tabletop mean to you?
All right.
Yours.
So, I actually, for the longest time, I was super resistant to getting into D&D. I just thought it was something that other people did, that I was nerdy, but I wasn't like to that point yet. And I had one friend who literally had the tenacity to ask me every day for a year to try D&D. And finally, I'm like, sure, fine, I'll try it. He got stuck in a well for an hour. I was hooked. And from there, it was a very cathartic release for me. D&D ended up becoming almost like a form of therapy for me, and the addiction grew, and I had to fuel the hobby. So I started DMing to earn store credit up at a wonderful game store that's no longer there anymore, called Siege. And fueled my habit there, met some really awesome people, helped out with some great charities. And D&D has just become a way for me to help people. I run online at startplaying.games, and I've met people all over the country. I've worked 2 world premieres through with Wizards of the Coast.
And what were they?
Yeah, so those were, I did the hashtag Vote PipYap event, which was the world premiere of Descent to Avernus. That one was in Hell, Michigan, in September of, I believe, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
2019. It was in Hell's Creek, September 13th to 15th, 2019. And I got to meet people from Wizards of the Coast. I got to have lunch with authors that wrote some of my favorite modules. And it was cool. We even got a fictional character voted mayor of Hell for the day in the actual books, which was great. Then the other one was the world premiere of The Ghost of Saltmarsh, which was at a Jasper's Game Day, which is one of the charities I help support whenever I get the chance. They're a suicide prevention charity and absolutely wonderful charity. But that was my first cosplay as well. I went all out, dressed up as a pirate, got on the website of Wizards for their D&D stuff for a whole 5 minutes before the next article drowned me out. But a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of cool people.
Not to tangent you off on that, but I really want to know. That's so fucking cool. Just like I'm sitting over here like, God, that's so fucking cool, dude. But yeah, that's just enough of me literally foaming at the mouth about this. What else? Like continue your because I really enjoy the way you frame like it helping people and things like that. It really warms my heart to know that there's a person that like sees D&D much in the same way that I do, and it's it just like I'm vibing super hard right now. So yeah.
Yeah, D&D for me. I have a background in therapy. That's what I do. For my primary job, I work in healthcare, mental health. And for me, it's something that has helped me get through some rough times. To be able to, I always joke around saying that all D&D players have split personality, and that goes doubly for the DMs, compartmentalizing yourself as NPCs and putting yourself out there in the safe sandbox that you can express these ideas and ideals that can sometimes be a bit much for you to normally come out and say. And I've had players pull me aside after games and literally say like, hey man, like I really needed this tonight. This has helped me get through X, Y, and Z that's going on in my private life. Is it okay if I role play this out with an NPC? Stuff like that. And I live for that. I don't call myself like, I never considered myself a good or great DM, but like people keep coming back, and it's the connections that I make to people. I try having a genuine connection and giving them a story that they'll remember for years to come.
Mm-hmm. And see, it's funny that you talk about that because, and this is about to get into some realness. Spoiler warning: this is about to get real, ladies and gentlemen. But I feel because of your background and because of what I use D&D for, I feel that it's appropriate that I talk about this. So, I have been depressed for most of my life, and D&D is really a way of escaping that for me. Because, like, even on the days when I don't feel like shit, I still feel like I don't feel as good as a normal person, you know, or a person who doesn't live with depression. And so, like, I use D&D very much so to not really escape, but I can put myself in the shoes of another character. And, like, for instance, with Jask, with our Heckna campaign, like, that shit gives me so much serotonin. I ride that for the 2 weeks after that campaign. Like, that tickly little high of, like, I get to make this awesome story with my friends. I ride that for, 2 damn weeks. And, like, it just... D&D to me is so much more than just a story. It's like you said, it's the ability to work out those problems that you may have in a constructive way that is also building this, fantastic story with more people, with, be it, your best friends or a group of people that you've never met, or, like, I just think that's, like, framing it that way is it helps so much. So I'm glad that, like, I'm not the only person that sees it that way, and this is very eye-opening, and I enjoy this.
Yeah, it's something that I'm upset with myself that I was so reluctant to try it, and now it's just consumed so much of my life that I was joking around with my girlfriend, like, at least it's not heroin.
Yeah. Well,
like,
see, that's exactly how I feel, because, like, so I'm really the only one in my extended family that hasn't gone down a like a less than stellar life path.
Yeah.
And because of D&D, I feel like a lot of that is because of D&D, because of nerdy stuff. Because, like, I always say, I joke with my mother that, like, I could never be a heroin addict or a drug addict because I want to buy D&D books. I want to buy magic cards. I want to buy a sword, like.
Yeah, I've had much the same conversations about that. And that's honestly why I started DMing. Like, I was a player for the longest time, and it was just like, I'm going to start DMing just because I need money to afford the next book, or the limited edition cover or whatnot. And now I'm in a position with my Discord server, with my Start Playing community, that I'm able to give away books and stuff like that, do raffles, and just touch people's lives and make them happy.
And that's fantastic. And more power to you, man. I mean, really. Like, I didn't think, and it was so weird because, like, when I meet new people, I don't necessarily know what to think. Like, am I going to vibe? There was that little seed of anxiety where I was like, am I going to vibe with this person? like, is it just going to be like, I'm going to try and talk to him, and it's just going to be kind of like, the conversation's going to fall flat or something like that. And I mean, you're friends with Jask, so, like, I knew that, like, we'd at least have some things in common. Because, I mean, to be friends with Jask, I feel like you'd also be friends with me, because me and Jask have a lot of things in common. But, I had that little seed of apprehension coming into this, and now I'm just like, why did I have that? Why did I feel that? Because this is just like, I feel like you're a guy that I've known, that, like, we've played D&D together. It's a very nice feeling, Kenneth. I will say that.
He always gives off those kind of vibes. Very comfy vibes.
Yeah. Which is so funny because I am such an introvert outside of D&D related stuff. Like, I can barely, like, pick up the phone and text a friend. Like, I'm just that drawn into myself. But, like, with D&D and stuff like that, it gets me out of my comfort zone, and it gets me public speaking. It gets me making silly voices on the internet. That's what I tell my kids that I work with, because they always ask, well, what do you do for your second job? I'm like, people pay me to make funny voices online and tell them a story.
Yeah. And see, that's, like, I'm very much the same way with streaming. Like outside of my streaming, outside of the Hegna campaign, outside of, I'm a very, like, I kind of keep to myself person, like I love, and I've said this before, I love being the center of attention, but at the same time, there's a time when I want to be that, and then there's a time when I kind of just want to descend into my little hobbit hole and eat Cheetos and watch anime,
Oh, absolutely. I feel that on a spiritual level.
Yeah, and so it's nice to know that, like, I'm not the only, like, dissentor, but
me too. I'm totally an introvert.
I mean, I think you are in your own special way, Jas. Like, you don't like you are and you aren't. I mean, you're just like me and Ken, I think. We're an introvert when we want to be, and we're extremely extroverted when we want to be. It just has to be in the right circumstances.
That's fair.
I
would say I'm more extrovert than introvert, though.
I appreciate you. I'm going to scoot that over a little bit, actually, because it's cut off. But thank you for the 100 bits. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Gulpen.
Yes. $1 whole dollar. Four whole quarters thrown at my face. At our respective faces. Yeah. It's called the rare disease of ambivert. See, I didn't know that it had a name.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's interesting. But barring what the initial question was, dirty baloney. Thank you for the follow. I almost said dirty Bologna.
I was about to say it.
Dirty Bologna.
That is the only way to say that word.
Yeah,
filthy.
And I will die on that hill.
Gulpen, thank you for the follow. So was there anything you specifically wanted to ask Kenneth before we just start talking about stuff? Jask?
I mean, I have some things, some touchstones I want to touch on, but I don't know if we were just talking about mental health. Sorry, I just had to take care of something. We already were touching on mental health, so I mean, we can do it right now. I think Kenneth already briefly mentioned Jasper's Game Day, but I mean, it's something that I absolutely love, and I wish I've gotten more involved than I have, other than just listening to its existence being around. But Kenneth, do you want to tell us a little bit about Jasper's Game Day? Because I know you've been slightly involved in all that with that.
Yeah, I actually at the game store that I used to go to, Zeege, I was pretty good friends with the two people that started this. It started with a young girl. She unfortunately lost 2 friends in a year to suicide, and she decided that she was going to do something about it. And she took the passion that her and her friends shared, and she made that into a charity. Thus, Jasper's Game Day was born. They are a nonprofit organization that they raise donations for suicide prevention and awareness. In 2019, I believe that was the first year that they were up. They raised $25,000, and in 2020 they raised over $100,000 for suicide prevention, and they've gone international. That's an absolute wonderful organization. I support them anytime that I can. Usually it's my time. If they have any events and stuff like that, I will. I don't usually work conventions. The only conventions I'll make exceptions for is Jasper's. Usually I don't have a voice by the end of the day, but it's for a good cause, and we've raised lots of money. Yeah, they've helped a lot of people. This last year, I believe they were focusing on military vets and preventing suicide, but they've funded the year before a couple suicide hotlines and stuff like that for school kids and teenagers and stuff like that. And it's all through D&D.
Yeah. That's really fantastic because, like, as a person who has felt those feelings before when I was younger, and as a person who used D&D to escape those feelings, like, I didn't even know this was a thing, like that this was a charity that existed, and it's very comforting to hear that it does. Like, because I was just thinking the other day, like, why doesn't somebody do that? Because I knew there was the Critical Role Foundation, and they helped with, like, stuff like that. But to know that there's a an organization that specifically uses D&D to help combat that. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, they started small and they have gotten very large very quickly. They've even been featured on Critical Role and stuff like that. They've had a call out here and there. They've had quite a few members of D&D Beyond, former and current, on their board of directors and stuff like that. Just a very wonderful foundation.
I tried to post a link for Jasper's Game Day, and Nightbot did not take kindly to it.
Nightbot, no, it's... Dang it, man. I thought I fixed that. Hold on. let me
Nightbot said no.
Let me fix that real quick. I thought I fixed that. Because I have that for malicious links, but man, I should...
Yeah.
Go on. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to fix this real fast.
You're totally fine. All right. Apparently some of the people are having issues with the link that I was sent on my side.
I had somebody say that the link didn't work either, but I tried it myself and it worked fine.
It says the play button isn't functioning.
I don't know.
Maybe they need an account.
That's weird. I don't know why it wouldn't be working. I mean, we're live. We're completely live.
Yeah, I mean, Undead's here.
Yeah.
And Ghoulpan in them. I don't know.
I'm just gonna disable links. I'll fix it like it's supposed to be later.
Yeah.
But, go ahead and drop that link, Jask, and so people can see it if they want to. There we go.
Yep. There's Jasper's Game Day for people who want to take a look at it. I really like the front page has we have a clear mission, and with luck on our side, every roll is a 20 and no one is left behind.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And I even have some players that I might start playing that if they miss a session, they will say, all right, we don't want the refund, just donate that money for the admission to Jasper's. Mm-hmm. Which is a super cool thing that I've gotten my community involved with it as well.
So, are you needing a link to to my Twitch channel?
Yeah, the one that Jask sent me and the one that's in the stream announcements just isn't working for my people.
Okay, I can do it again. Let me see here. Copy link. And then let me just send it to you. And then you can put, because I know this one should work. Control V.
It's working for me. I just pulled it up.
I'm sorry, all you people on podcast land. Well, we try to fix things, but this is the nature of having a podcast on Twitch.tv.
So, failing all of that, you can have them just go to Twitch.tv and then search Dokuro Gym.
Yeah, you could search Dokuro Gym. That's another way you can do it.
And see if that works.
Yeah.
And I'll just send you how to spell Dokuro Gym as well.
If only the stream would let me exist. I know how you feel.
Yeah, sorry everyone for technical difficulties.
It happens. It's gonna happen. You know what? If they don't like the organicness of the podcast, they can leave. We're an organic plant up in here, okay? Stuff's gonna happen. You're gonna hear it. You know what? I'm not being paid enough yet. So let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. If you want it without the shenanigans, if you want no shenanigans in your podcast, because why would you, right? You can go to Ko-fi.com/Dokuro Gym and donate me some money, and maybe, it'll be better. It'll be better. Crows for Bros, thank you for the follow. But maybe if I become paid, it will be better. Because I tell you what, if I had the money to make this the smoothest fucking thing on Twitch TV, you bet your ass I would. Okay? So just remember that. Remember that when you get your change back from McDonald's, okay? Remember that shit. You'll be like, maybe I could spend this $5 on a pack of cigarettes, or maybe I could give $5 to Dokuro Gym. You know? For the children, and also for me, but mostly for the children.
I love when you go off like that. It's fun. Well, while we figure stuff out, we could just keep going. Ken, do you have any questions for us?
I mean, I've known you pretty much my entire life, Jask.
Yeah.
Um, I'm actually not that familiar with the podcast. I've been told a little bit about it by Jask. It's good to meet you finally.
Good to meet you as
Uh,
well.
but very glad to be here. Been actually been super excited ever since Jask invited me. Uh, so what for D&D? Like what got you into it?
Super easy. Okay, so I don't remember what exactly got me into D&D. I don't remember when I found out what D&D was. Um, I very specifically remember talking to my friend Cliff, who had played D&D before, and he was like, "Hey, my friend Lauren uh, plays D&D, and my cousin Micah plays D&D, so why don't you come play D&D with us?" Is I believe how it happened, but I don't remember specifically. Um,
Okay.
but I just remember that I played a half-orc monk named something Ironwind, and he was just a truck of damage. Like he was just a like he could just beat things to a bloody pulp. And I was like, this is what I like right here. And also the whole thing with being able to make your own character and like being able to really like this is my OC, this is my original character, this is the person that I made, and I made his backstory, and everything of him was made by me. And so I like that aspect of it. I also like the aspect of the randomness of dice. I like having to roll a dice and see what comes up, and like that changes the story. Um, but as far as how I got into it, I really think it was just my friend Cliff was like, "Hey, you want to play D&D?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's D&D?" And he was like, "This is D&D." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then we played the Star Wars system, which was based on 3.5 because I really like Star Wars, and I was hooked on that. I played a Jedi, and he was really cool. And I mean, I think my very first D&D game was D&D 3.5. But when I really got into DMing was when 5th edition came out, because I wasn't into Pathfinder, I wasn't into anything like that. I actually got out of D&D for Pathfinder. Like I've only played like 2 or 3 games of Pathfinder. But because Cliff, he left and for the Marines, and then I'm sorry, the Air Force, excuse me. And after he left, I didn't really hang out with Lauren and Mike anymore. Because they were kind of my gateway in, but we were never really
Yeah.
super close friends. And so it kind of worked out where I didn't really started getting into DMing until I like sort of made my own world. And then after I made my own world, I was like, I really want to like do this. I really want to flesh this out and add like dungeons and stuff and make this into an actual campaign. And so then I ran the only game I've really ever DM'd for like long form, I guess, because most of my DMing has been one shots. But my long form campaign was called the Caliber Concord, and that ended with a giant robot battle between the Concord as a robot. So the Caliber Concord was a like a mercenary group who lived in this giant building that spanned like acres and acres and acres of this forest. And at the very end, after they had gotten all the MacGuffin stones and put them into the Concord turned into a giant robot, and it fought the cursed Tarask that was like what the evil guys had been trying to bring up from the sea.
Hmm.
And so the final battle, because literally what made me want to do this was I've never ran a Tarask before. I want to run a Tarask in D&D. But I want to, and then I downloaded this expanded monster manual, and one of the expanded monsters was a living fortress, and I was like, living fortress, giant Tarask, Power Rangers-esque kaiju fight with Tarask, and that was and I designed the entire campaign. Cause like, oh,
Around
they're
that.
gonna go here, and they're gonna get this MacGuffin stone, and then they're gonna go here, they're gonna get this MacGuffin stone, and then they're gonna go here, they're gonna get this sword thing, and then they're gonna get this MacGuffin stone, and then they put them all in, and that's what powers the Concord. And the Concord turns into a giant robot, and that's when the big Tarask comes, and they have to seal off the city. And just like what makes me like D&D so much is the ability to just make a thing and make it canon.
Absolutely.
Like 5-headed unicorn, pentacorn, it's canon. Uh, you know, I lost my train of thought. Demigod of Chaos, who's basically Alice in Wonderland in a person. He's canon. He is. He just did. His name's Archmage Archprofessor Halaster, and he's great. And like, it allows me to be creative, which is one of the things that I love, and it allows me to create for people and make people happy, which is why I say I vibe with you so much, because for the longest time I've said I don't really care what I do with my life. I just want to make people happy.
Same.
You know? And if that's through D&D, cool. If that's through streaming, cool. If that's through something else that I do with my life, that's fantastic. I would rather it be D&D and streaming, but if something else happens, there we go. But just the fact that, like one thing I will never forget is, so my friend Gavin, who played Sariel in our campaign, is an artist. And what he did was they made a guild called the Lost and Forgotten, which was their D&D character's group name, the Lost and Forgotten. And he drew a Lost and Forgotten sigil for their guild, and then his mother can make stickers. So he then made the Lost and Forgotten guild sigil into a sticker that he has, and he gave to me. And I have physical items of my world, of my campaign. And
that's awesome.
The fact that just us sitting around and rolling a die and being like, okay, well, this does this, and this does this, and mathematically by the rotation of the sun and moon, I should be able to have 3 bonus actions. Like, that's and that's all it is. All it is rolling dice and talking in a funny voice, but it makes such story, such memories. Like, we still talk about the Caliber Concord. That was 3 years ago, And
that's awesome.
It's just... Go ahead.
On the topic of getting things for your campaigns, we're only like 3 sessions into the Heckna campaign, and we're already getting fan art.
Yeah, Mazel's fan art. Beep. I mean, you commissioned Beep, but Beep made art of all my characters. I've never had art of Eugene before, and I have art of Eugene now, and just being able to see the boy that I created in my head as a physical picture now, I'm like, yeah.
See, for one of my characters, I started it just because I never got a chance to play very often. My character's name was Knock Knock. And,
you made Knock Knock!
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, Jask asked me, he's like, hey, this character's awesome. Can I borrow him as an NPC? And and I'm like, absolutely, because I wasn't playing at that point anymore. I'm like, you can absolutely have him. And he shows me a picture of the fan art that someone did for Knock Knock, and it made me so happy.
Was it Knock Knock with a Glock Glock?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the funniest thing was he didn't have a Glock to begin with, but after that, I had a cert for an Adventures League, which I was playing at the time, for a pistol. And I gave that to Knock Knock literally just because of that picture that someone made the fan art for it. So I'm like, you know what? He has to have it now.
Who drew that?
That was your Hero was the one that drew Knock Knock with a Glock Glock.
Knock Knock with a Glock. Okay.
Yep. Jim was in the campaign that I was using Knock Knock in.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Okay. So another thing that I have that I wanted to talk about, I'm kind of going down my bullet points on my other monitor here, is we hadn't really talked about this, but what is your favorite character you've ever made? That can be PC or NPC. How do they relate to you, and why are they your favorite?
Okay.
If you need some time to think about it, I can answer the question.
Yeah. I'll give Jask the floor here. I'm gonna grab a glass of water real quick while you're saying this, and I'll be right back.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure he already knows my answer too. So, yeah. So my favorite character is Yorl Malignus, the Malignus Magnificent Trellis Menageries, Mesmerizing Bizarre Spectacles, Master of Feng Shui, Piercer, Claws, Player, Fight, Flicker, Ichor, Taker of Teeth, Kaiju Devil, Wrestler, Eyes of Light, Taste Tester, Mysterious Liquids, Creator of Archangels, Lord of Cats, Horde Slayer, and Tarask Hunter.
Powerful.
Yeah, and I love him because he is just chaos incarnate, to the point of Ken, who was the DM for that campaign, made him chaotic. He is no longer neutral, good or evil. He is only chaos. We had, I believe, 3 paladins total in that campaign.
That's great.
Only one of them retained their lawful status. And that was because he was lawful evil, so he could do some of the things that Yorl was suggesting and retain the lawfulness. But the other 2 paladins, the one of them, Gare, lost his paladin status, I think it was 4 sessions in, because we were fighting a devil that was resistant to non-magical attacks, but none of us had a magic weapon. But you know what Gare had? Gare had a Tressum. And a Tressum is a magic cat. But because it's a familiar, it can't attack. But you can pick up the Tressum and swing it like a weapon, and that counts as a magic attack. So Yorl convinced this lawful good paladin to pick up his pet cat, swing at a devil, and channel a divine smite through its soft, shitty body.
And it was an elderly Tressum to begin with. It wasn't even
terrible.
a young one.
That's terrible. As a cat father, I'm looking at my cat right now and just being like, never. I would never. Callie, I would never.
At another point, we're in hell. Yorl's chasing down his family, who fell into hell with the city of Elturel.
Fell into hell with Elturel. I like that.
Yeah, right? And he comes from a big circus family. Now, the circus family raised Yorl, and like it never clicked for anybody all that much until we started hearing about the circus family thriving in hell. That Yorl is a really good caster, and he was raised by this circus. They don't hire guards; they are their own guards. Nobody fucks with the circus. Nobody survives fucking with the circus. So when we get down into hell, Ken was asking me questions about the circus, and I gave him some of the key NPCs, and he made them into a roving warband in hell, where they just got down to hell and went, oh well, when in Rome, and started fucking shit up.
Mad Max that shit.
Yeah, and so at one point, Yorl has tamed a Hellbee that he named Beelzebub. And he's riding around on this thing, and he sees his family fighting off a big devil, and he's like, oh, that's my family. I need to go say hi and save them, but also, I'm riding a Hellbee, I'm a tiefling in hell. If I come at them at max speed, they're going to turn around and blast me. So he wears clothes that are in the colors of the circus. So he stripped naked, tied the clothes to his staff, held his staff into the air like a flag, and rode at full speed at his family so they would see the colors of the circus and know that it's not an enemy approaching.
If I remember correctly, you did take a potion of giant size as well as you did that to make it even more kaiju.
Yeah. And then, so as I'm describing Yorl naked, riding a Hellbee through hell, giant, coming at this giant devil thing, our friend Amber went dead silent for like 30 to 40 minutes. Just nothing from them. And then eventually she just posted art of Yorl riding naked. I think you've probably seen the art, Jim.
I have, yes.
And it's still my computer background on one of my screens. But yeah, awesome. Yorl hands down, he's all the chaos in me. I'm not as chaotic as Yorl, but he's the want to be able to let go of impulse control. And he's such a good character for stories. Like, he does questionable things all the time, but he is a really good character for stories, and I really like him for that.
Yeah, we were actually able to repurpose him because of his proclivities outside of adventures. You were saying you built an entire world around the Tarrasque versus that living fortress fight.
Yeah.
There's a adventure that someone wrote. It's on DM's Guild right now called Attack of the Planet of or Invasion from the Planet Tarrasque. And I just it's supposed to be Hallister Blackcloak. I changed it to Yorl's clone. Just sending these Tarrasques to Waterdeep to get back at this party. And it just made sense, just with Yorl's clone, be like, hey, look, you put me in a hole. I'm going to get back at you.
That's hilarious.
And it really was. But anything else, Jessica, before I answer the question?
No, go ahead.
All right. I'd like to say, so my favorite character I'd like to say is Kothar Shimmerscales, which is I call him my monstrosity. He started as a lizard folk barbarian, and from Chult. I started playing D&D during Tomb of Annihilation, and I really have always liked the lizard folk races. Like Argonians are my favorite thing in like Skyrim and Oblivion. And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make a lizard folk. We're in the jungles. He's from this place. But what sets him aside from everything else? And I'm like, you know what? He worships the dinosaurs of this place as living gods. They're bigger reptiles. They're better than him because they're bigger and they're stronger. So what is, and I started developing this mythos and religion around that his tribe worships. And it came down to they had this sort of hunter mentality that they could ascend the the totem pole, as it were, in the godhood by defeating the living gods. And so this character had a hit list of everything in Chult that the bigger it was, the more he wanted to hunt it. The stupider he got to hunt it. And he was a character. I'd come to the table with an egg timer, and I tell the party, during social situations and stuff like that, you have until the egg timer is out, and then Kothar will do what Kothar does. That way, and if I'm being too disruptive, you can let me know, and no one has ever had an issue with it. Just because I gave them the warning that you have this long to figure it out before Kothar gets bored. But he ended up taking a couple levels in Druid just so he could wild shape into a dinosaur to become closer to the gods that he adored, and then ended up becoming so he ended up being like 4 levels fighter, 2 levels druid, and a lot level barbarian, just a monstrosity of a character, multi-class, all the hell. But he was just the dumbest, most arrogant piece of awesomeness that I've played, because I tried killing him halfway through that campaign, and as people who've played Tomb of Annihilation know, it's an incredibly dangerous campaign. And he couldn't die. I was trying. I was running into all of these traps. I was running into all of this stupid stuff, like head first, and he was surviving. So he developed a god complex. Like, hey, I must be blessed by the gods. I can't die.
I love that so much. Just like...
And well, it gets even better because towards the end of it, the end of his career, when he was like level 17, he discovered the mantle of the old god of Chult, Ubtao. And he looks at the party. They're all sitting there debating on what to do with it as he just picks up the mantle and puts it on. He's like, I'm the god now.
And what does that do, just out of curiosity?
So for that, Ubtao was the god of creation of Chult. And so it could create a vast array of things. But for him, what it did was it changed his appearance to where his legs got longer, and I believe he gained wings. So he could run faster, and he could like take like these giant loping leaps into the sky to hunt better. And it just gave him a mantle of power that the denizens of Chult innately know to respect. And so I've created this whole mythos about him, and because then he ended up killing Dendar the Night Serpent, another deity. That was his last adventure that he'd played through. Dendar was coming out to eat the world, and it was the last turn, and he went in initiative right before Dendar's turn. If I didn't, he got the final kill on Dendar by ripping its throat out with his teeth. And that just sealed the deal that he thought that he was the god king.
Yeah, he was the god killer. He was
and he looks at people. He's like, and he has an entire cult. He has an entire following behind him. I have players that ask if they can make NPCs that are of his tribe, which is a weird feeling, but I'm totally in love with the idea. And but he's just like, he's like this. He's the self-proclaimed god king of Chult. Not that anyone would argue. But he's a blast. He's been retired for a little bit. I still dust him off every now and again, for like cons and stuff like that. If I want to play a high level adventure, uh, but don't get to very often play him. He's more of an NPC now.
That's really cool. So I have a bit of the opposite story with my favorite character, where yours is where a PC sort of got powerful and became an NPC. So my favorite character that I've ever made, and it's the one I'm playing in Heckna right now, but he was an NPC who became a PC because I liked him so much.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And I know you've listened to part of the Heckna campaign, right?
I've seen parts of it, yeah.
Okay, so you've heard me do the Eugene voice,
Yep.
And okay, so basically, my wife and my brother-in-law, I think that was it. Maybe our friend Skylar. They were playing just a quick little, homebrew one-shot thing that I made up because they wanted to play D&D, and they had to go meet this smith. And they wanted to get a horse from the smith because the smith had a horse that he wasn't doing anything with, and he was like, well, if you buy this from me, I'll throw in this stuff for free, And they were like, yes, and so they gave him the money, and he was like, Eugene, go get the horse and bring it to these people. And so I was like, I want his kid to just be the most sniveling, snot-nosed sounding, like 14-year-old who works at Burger King, like this, that type of voice. So I was like, what can I do? I was like, he sort of sounds like this, like his voice is kind of annoying, and he talks like he kind of goes on tangents, and he talks a lot with his hands, and so that was how Eugene came to be. And as I was sort of doing the voice and doing his mannerisms, I was like, I really enjoy playing this character. Oh no, he's only going to be around for a little bit. Oh no. So then they left Eugene, and after that entire thing, I was just like, and I hummed the character, and I hummed him more, and then I was like, well, what if I make him related to my paladin, who's basically my NPC character, my paladin Cedric, who I don't really play anymore. So I was like, what if he's like his uncle, And so then I was like, okay, well, if my Uncle Cedric were here, you guys would get a thrashing. Like I may be strong, but my uncle is fantastic, So he sort of became that. And then I was like, well, I really like the class Wild Magic Sorcerer. And I could never come up with like a good character for Wild Magic Sorcerer. So I was like, what if I make Eugene a Wild Magic Sorcerer, but I make it different? So Eugene's backstory is that first of all, Eugene's not human. He is a created human. He was created by his mother, whose name is Oracle. Oracle is a very bad, mean warlock lady. And she, before Cedric was a paladin, she got with Cedric, and they had like a one-night stand, a night together, basically. And then in the morning, he wanted to leave, and he was like, look, I gotta go. I have more pressing things, like this was fun, and if you want to make this more than, this, I mean, you can let me know once I'm off mission. Like once I'm back on my own time, let me know, we can take this further. And then Oracle, because she's crazy, was like, well, if I can't have you, then nobody can. And she tried to murder him. And she ended up stabbing him in the thigh with a dagger.
My kind of woman.
And yes. And so he like pushes her off of him and leaves. And then Oracle, because she met the man and she was so infatuated with him that she was like, well, here's what I'm going to do. So in my world, there's a practice called arcane infusion. Arcane diffusion, or arcane infusion and arcane diffusion. So arcane diffusion, thank you for the Dokuro compliments, I'll get to that in a second, is where you take mana from a thing or a person and make it into either a liquid or a crystal or what have you. You make it into some physical form. Arcane infusion is then taking that mana that you've sucked out of someone or something and putting it in someone who maybe doesn't have the mana or maybe needs more mana.
Yeah.
And that's hella illegal because you can do it to people. People figured out how to do it to people. So it's hella illegal because you can just grab a mage off the street who's 7, whose power is just awakened, suck all their mana out, and then use it for yourself. So Oracle made a homunculus out of her blood and Cedric's blood. And it didn't have a soul. It didn't have anything. She was originally going to take some mana, put it in the baby that would be Eugene, take it to the Paladin Order and be like, hey, Cedric, this is your kid. And then blow it up, like detonate it like a bomb.
Yeah.
And basically be like, I killed your child. You can't be with anybody else because I have your kid. And if you don't stay with me, I'll blow him up because I can do that shit, And because she's crazy. She doesn't care that she just created life and then she's going to, tear it asunder with a snapper finger. But so Cedric and the Order get wind of this when she's doing it. And so they raid her compound and they kick the door in, they fight her, they're going to try and kill her, but Cedric won't let them. She's like, I don't want her to die. I know she's evil, but I can't bring myself to kill her. So they lock her away in the prison that I haven't named yet because nobody's ever gone there. I need to think about a name for it and everything. I know how it works. I just don't have a name for it yet. But they lock her away in that prison, and then they take Eugene, and they raise him as a paladin. Or they raise him at the Order's, monastery. And he is so infatuated with his uncle, Cedric, who is actually his dad, that he wants to become a paladin. But he can't because Eugene doesn't have a soul. He can't talk to gods. He can't, there's nothing for them to interface with. So his character progression is someone who wants to be something that he can't have no matter how hard he tries, but he's going to try.
I like that.
And, he doesn't know why he's cursed with magic. He doesn't know why weird stuff happens every time he tries to cast a spell. He doesn't understand why. And in fact, when he was in the monastery, he was trying to practice his spell work in the library of the monastery, and he ended up, basically exploding and killing a bunch of people in the monastery. So the rest of the paladins and Cedric were like, well, we can't keep him here. What if he, blows up again, We can't have him killing, bunches of people. And so usually his hook for getting into an adventure is Cedric and the Paladins have sent him off on a mission, quotation marks, air quotes, and he has to do this thing and then come back, but in actuality, the rest of the Paladins were just like, well, just give him some money and send him away for a little bit, maybe he'll figure himself out, or maybe he'll die, I'm not saying that the Paladins, because they're Paladins of Pelor, but they're also kind of I frame the Order to be very much Cedric is the only one that's not kind of a hypocrite, and the rest of the Paladins were kind of he's literally an abomination. You realize everything in our Order says we should myrtle him, but you want to keep him around? Okay, Captain. All right, aye, we'll go with you just because you lead us, but we don't like it, And playing him and playing the character that just, no matter what, he will fight for his friends. You could, one of the favorite things I like to say about Eugene is you can make fun of Eugene all you want. You can make fun of, him and what he does all you want, but you don't make fun of his friends. Because he will fight tooth and nail for the people that he cares about. And
yeah, which makes him being in the Heckness setting just so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love, because he in the Heckness setting has slowly progressed from we'll talk to Heckna and everything will be cool, right? And then as stuff has happened, he's been like, oh, he won't listen to reason. Oh, we can't talk to this guy. Oh no, he's messing with my friends. Oh no, I have to fight him. Because the whole thing with Paladins of Pelor and stuff like that is that, at least the way I read into them, is violence is a last resort. They're very much the talk the situation down before you smite it type of thing. Unless it's super duper evil. And so Eugene at the beginning of the session was like, yeah, no, we'll just talk to Hecknet. Everything will be fine. Everything will be good. Very much telling himself that to cope with, oh my God, shit is fucked up. And over the 3 sessions, he's slowly become more and more like, okay, yeah, no, I have to fight this man. And doing that is really interesting because I love playing good characters. Like, I'm not one to play like super chaotic characters or super for themselves characters. I mean, I do a little bit. I have a couple of characters that are like that are super for themselves and for nobody else. But for the most part, most of my characters are very like I'm the human player. I play mostly humans, and all of them are pretty much good boys. Like I told Jask, I make dads and edgelords, and then there's Eugene. So that's that's how I write characters. But as far as how he relates to me, because I kind of went on a tangent about his backstory and everything, but as far as how he relates to me, my power fantasy is being able to help everyone. So he is very much the, person who will always be there, will always be loyal, will always be, the person that you can count on. Like in the party, like if nobody believes in me, I know Eugene does, and that's how I want people to feel about me. Like, that's how I want people to feel, like, when they look at me as a person, I want them to think, like, if anybody can believe in me and believe in what I'm doing, Jim believes in me, and Jim believes in what I'm doing. So, like, I sort of channel that when I play Eugene, and I don't know, that's just one of the reasons I like D&D so much.
It's got the same energy as my character, Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I was just about to bring up Nobody, the goodest of boys that you'll never forget.
That lived all of one session.
Mm-hmm.
You lived for one session with Nobody, but you made such a profound impact on at least 2 players at that table.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like when Nobody died at the end of that session, there was actual tears.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, and so that's kind of how I feel about Eugene, because for our story so far, I record voice like journal entries for Eugene, but I voice act them. And one of our players, who is unfortunately not in the campaign anymore because of life stuff, Paul, he told me he was moved to actual emotion from Eugene's last journal entry. And the fact that I can do that to people, the fact that like I can make people feel, and sort of connect with a character on that emotional level who's not he's me doing a silly voice, but the fact that I can make people like be moved to tears because they feel what the character is going through and they can empathize. That is part of the reason with what sticks D&D with me so much.
Oh, absolutely. For me, the ending of our Descent to Avernus campaign, there were tears.
Oh yeah.
Like the way it ended up turning out, and I've almost every campaign I have, there's at least one person crying due to the emotion, not because I'm a mean DM, but due to the like actual emotions that I'm portraying. And
sometimes Lieutenant Amber.
Was that the same person that you gave the baby owlbear to?
Yep.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
When she tried to stop Diocles from being gored, and instead he just took his child, shoved it into her arms, and said, "Be good," and got gored.
See, and that's the other thing is for me is player death. These characters that players make, they mean so much to the characters, and as a DM, that's on us to realize that and to make their death matter. When that character ends up biting the dust.
So I want to talk about a very important character death for me, and this wasn't even my character. But spoils for Critical Role Campaign 2. I want to say that right out of the gate, because this is a big moment in Campaign 2. So if y'all have not watched all of campaign 2, or you don't care about me spoiling this for
Set
you.
us on mute, and I'll post a message in the stream when it's safe.
Yeah, but I'm talking about it right now. Okay, is everybody gone? Good. Molly Mock's death. Molly Mock's death. I have never had a character death of somebody who I didn't know hit me so hard. Because,
I get that.
Because I love Caleb. Caleb is my favorite character in Critical Role. Even though I have a statue of Molly Mock, Caleb is my favorite character. And the line that got me was, because Caleb doesn't really show any emotion because of his character, when he gets down in the dirt and says, "Shine bright, circus man," that I legit cried. I legit had a moment. Like, I had a moment.
Mine was when Not said, Molly said, "Don't steal from happy people."
Yeah, that too.
Oh my god.
Like the one that one of the really ones that, like, this didn't get me like in a sad way, but when he actually dies and the last thing he does is spit a gob of blood in Lorenzo's face, like, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, it was like one of those things where I was like, hell yeah. Oh, and okay, I'm going to talk about another one because I just remembered it. Spoilers for Fantasy High Season 1. If you have not seen Fantasy High Season 1 or don't care about me spoiling it, I'm going to spoil it right now. Or I think it's Season 2, but it's a death in Fantasy High. So, Bill Seacaster.
It's Season 1.
It's Season 1.
Yep.
So, he's this incredibly, like, bombastic character, and he helps Fabian, who is his son, like, get through a bunch of stuff, and he's a very good dad to him. And he's just this incredible character who helps them out and keeps them from getting murdered one time. And, like, I forget who's attacking I forget who it is, and Lindsay, you might be able to help me with this. You might remember more than I do, but their house is, like, getting attacked. And he's, like, fighting, and Brennan describes him, like, getting more and more hurt, and more and more hurt. And all throughout the campaign, he said, "Remember, son, when I die, I'm going to leap into hell and kill the devil himself." And, like, all this stuff, and very boisterous, very boasting. And so then Fabian, his son, and Bill get stuck up on this, like, the, what is it called? The balcony? The balcony of their house.
It was the son came into Bill handcuffed to, like, his own bed to keep himself upright so he could continue fighting despite his blood loss.
Yeah, okay. Well, because I don't remember, but I'm glad you remember better than me.
Fabian carried him over to the balcony.
Oh, no, okay. Because the balcony part's what I remember.
Yep.
But then Fabian stabs him and, like, delivers the finishing blow to his own dad, and his dad's like, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You're a real pirate. You're a real boy. You're my son." And the last words he says is, like, "I'm gonna leap into hell and kill the devil," and then, like, explodes. And just the way that scene was framed, and that just entire thing, because I loved Bill. I love pirates, and the fact that he was a very stereotypical pirate, I was like, that's
Bill's. So Molly Mock was my favorite character in Critical Role. Bill Seacaster's death hit me harder than Molly Mock's because of the way the scene was framed and everything else, and just the build up to it. Oh my god, it hit so hard.
Yeah.
Are we gonna step out of spoiler territory though, so that I can send a message in here?
Yes. No more spoilers.
But yeah, so Lindsay's in here now. We had been talking about it earlier, but Lindsay, Kenneth, works in the therapy industry as well, and he's actually looking to get the certification thing, the license to do therapy with D&D.
Yeah, still looking into it. One of my friends thing a while back. I've been searching my messages for a hot minute trying to find it. But yeah, there is an actual licensing program for therapeutic D&D. I don't know how official it is or whatnot, but It's something I've been looking into to add to my resume
Yeah.
because D&D is therapy for me.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I've got to look into it because it's got to say something about me that every character I have, I try to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a well-known joke because I also do a lot of online role plays. That's how Jim and I met, was online role plays.
Yep.
And I have a character that the moment I introduce him, I start a timer, and anytime I'm actively role playing him, the timer gets unpaused, and once that timer runs out, he dies. He can be convinced to get it fixed, but otherwise he just kind of dies. And then you have like Diocles, who like threw himself at everything.
Diocles.
Diocles.
I had the hardest time with that character's name for like the first half of the campaign until he died.
Oh,
and I'm like,
go ahead, sir.
And then there's Nobody, who lasted all of one session before he died. And then Diocles came back, and a few sessions later died again. I mean, he took half the world with him, but he died again.
Yeah, that was my first total world kill, not total player or total party kill.
We actually have an interesting question from Undead in the chat. Is it a good I can talk, I swear. Is it good or bad for wanting to use certain characters to use them for pent-up aggression? Serious question, because I like playing aggressive people. I don't think it is, because I don't really play aggressive characters except for Zeal. But I get that, because I use characters to work out, other emotions, and I don't make a character specifically to work out one emotion. Like, for instance, I don't have this is where it's going to get real again. I don't have a great relationship with my dad. And so a lot of my characters who are older are good father figures, because he wasn't. And I want to make a character, if they are, a family man, if they have a family, they're good dads. And like, most of my characters don't like their father, which probably says something about me, but I don't think I don't think that it's bad to work out a emotion in a healthy way with a character. If you know.
I think that it's totally fine to work up like the pent up aggression. However, I would say put triggers on it. Ask the party first. Hey, is this okay if this is something that I can explore? Talk to your DM. D&D is a shared sandbox experience, and it's something for everyone at the table to get something out of it. And it's absolutely okay for you to explore these emotions. But I would do it in a way to not either isolate or target anyone else in the party. Like, do it like a trigger. Like, I have one player actually in my Tyranny of Dragons campaign. His character has some very severe aggression issues. But his trigger it's with the cultists. They hurt his family. They caused this great trauma on him in the past. And every now and again, there's just a shocking moment where he just shows this brutality. That because they hit that trigger for that pent up aggression, that raw emotion that the player is trying to get out. Stuff like that. I absolutely think it is more than okay to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I would also add that, like, and it was briefly touched on, perfectly fine to be working out emotions, as long as they're not directed at the players.
Yes.
You also have to be careful, because, like, while you might not think that certain things are being directed at a player, players might take things personally, because, again, a lot of characters are extensions of themselves.
Absolutely.
So, like, you could be thinking that you're having a great roleplay moment where you're getting angry at this character, or like your character is getting angry at this character and you're having a disagreement, while the other person is thinking that you personally are attacking them now. Which is why, I mean, anybody who's roleplayed with me long enough knows that anytime that there's a heated moment between my character and another character, as soon as the moment concludes, I let them know that I appreciate them and that I'm not mad at them. It happened recently with Solus, the 14 or 15-year-old. My character Styx and her character got into a very slight disagreement. It wasn't even that much of a disagreement, but like as soon as it was done, I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm not mad at you. Absolutely adore role-playing with you. It's just Styx is being angry.
Mm-hmm. And see, that's why I like I have some grumpus characters, you know, and that's why I kind of like playing the good boy, is because I want to make everybody feel good. And while I sometimes want to play my asshole bard Samuel, who I love and who is great, there are tables that are for Samuel and tables that are for Eugene, you know?
Oh,
Yep.
absolutely. I have one character. I always call him my the I need help character.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Veladreth Darkheart, and he is this just utter asshole. There's no better way to put it. He is my only like really truly lawful evil character, and he plays it to a T. And I'm not a mean person. I absolutely hate being a jerk in real life. That's the character that if I'm having a rough day, like if I have some really negative emotions that I need to work on, I'll ask the DM and the players at the table, like, hey, is it all right if I bring this character?
Mm-hmm.
And if I get too much at any point in time, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing at one table and we were having a really great roleplay opportunity. And the DM was one of my good friends, and he looks at me at the end of it and he's like, You're the therapist, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you need a therapist?
I have to ask also, because Lindsay said she had a therapist. So if therapists have therapists, is there just this never-ending
absolutely
cyclical chain of a therapist for a therapist who's a therapist for a therapist? It's like that one SpongeBob joke. Like, is there a never-ending chain of mailmen delivering mail to other mailmen? Like, that's what I feel like.
No, it absolutely is. Psychology has one of the highest burnout rates, short of behind like police and other sort of first responders.
Last I checked, I think dentists had the highest.
Yeah, dentists also have it. Yeah, because everyone hates going to the dentist. There's never a good dentist visit.
Yeah, nobody's happy to see your dentist.
But so yeah,
I love my dentist. My dentist is dope. Anyway.
No, but it's absolutely imperative for people that are in a position of helping other people to get emotional check-ins, to get the touch-ups, the having those emotional health days. I'm lucky enough that the place I work don't really penalize us if we have to have a mental health day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they understand that, and D&D for me is that therapy. It is that place to get that stuff out. Well, granted, I've been only exclusively running games lately, so I've had to adjust that slightly to the point where if I'm having a lot of negative emotions, I'm not going to TPK the party. I'm not going to absolutely just be that jerk of a DM. I have to regulate that, and I have to help people through their stuff. And through that, I feel the most satisfaction by helping others. And so through
That's a big same, Doug. That's a big same, homie.
Like, it's funny, if I'm in a foul mood, my girlfriend's like, is it one of your D&D nights? You need to go like play D&D.
You need to go play D&D. Well, see, it's funny because like I do the same thing, but with hard video games. So like,
yeah, same. Dark Souls is like my.
Woo! Okay, yeah.
Dark Souls is an easy game now.
I love From Software so much. Oh my god. Okay, I did this build the other day that was that was sorcery with a sword. I did like this spell mage build in 3 that I've never done before, and man, it was fun.
My favorite
Man.
pyromancer. Then see, I'll take characters from Dark Souls and I'll try making them work in D&D.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
My all-time favorite one was those damnable double door shields
Yes.
in
Yes.
Dark Souls. I've been playing through Dark Souls with one of my players and one of my good friends, and I named the character Hodor because all he does is hold the doors. And it's awful because it's way too effective, and I've been trying to make him work in D&D with 2 just great shields.
That's wonderful. So talking about characters from Dark Souls that you made into PCs. So I literally took Solera Vastora and changed him a little bit and made him one of the leaders of the Concord. Just like his personality, I took his personality and applied it to the Paladin leader, because like the Concord has a leader of every class, because I thought that was cool. And the Paladin leader is named Ath Silverscale, ATH Silverscale. And I just made him Solaire, basically, where he was just like the way that the party would find him was it sunny out? Okay, go outside, find the sunniest spot. That's where Ath will be, because that's where he is. He just loves being in the sunlight, and he was a lizard folk paladin, so that was also like lizard folk under a heating lamp, like lizard jokes, and they made that very frequently. But yeah, no, I did that too, and like my favorite game right now, and one of my favorite games ever, is Hades. I love Hades. I love Supergiant games. Like
I haven't picked that one up yet, but it's on my list.
Oh, Kenneth is so good. Kenneth is so good. It's so fucking good, Kenneth.
It is really good.
But yeah, like I literally have. So one of the things that I wanted to do for a long time on my Twitch channel, and how I got so like this is basically how I became affiliate. I started doing Hades speedruns. Like my best time in Hades is 11:28:34, 11 minutes 28 seconds and 34 milliseconds, and I love Hades. Hades is so good, but Hades, The Binding of Isaac, One Step from Eden, I love roguelikes. I fucking love roguelikes, and like my wife Shayla was like, hey. Like, why do you like those games? Like, why do you enjoy the games that frustrate you? Like, half the time when I come in, you're yelling, you're angry, like you're mad, because like I gotta Returnal's good too. Returnal is also very good. Not exactly my game, but very, very good. But like, and I don't know why I like those types of games, but it's this cathartic release of when it does go right. You're like, yeah, I did that. I did it.
See, I started with those games because I had a very large addiction to, but I was working at a tech company, so I was buying new video games every single week. Because I was right there by them all the time. And so I bought Dark Souls 3 when it came out, because I had an awful experience with Dark Souls 1 when I first got it.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get past the tutorial, put it down, never touch it again.
Couldn't get past the demon.
Nope. So I got mad at it, and so I went into this new one like, hey, look, I can't buy a new game until I beat Dark Souls 3. And I fell in absolute love with Dark Souls. It got me through some really rough times but this is before I found D&D. And absolutely loved it. And so now I went through all the Dark Souls. They're amazing. I think the chat though has a lot of things about player death though. It looks like they're been talking about.
As you got me off on roguelikes, man, and like Dark Souls, and I'm like, ooh, those are literally my favorite games of all time. Like Bloodborne's my favorite, but like, ooh.
See, I'm waiting for Bloodborne to not become to actually get on PC or something so I can play it, because I don't have a PlayStation. But yeah, getting back to some of the player questions here, or comments, like player death. Um, it's like I have to make every player's life meaningful in the world.
I have to
And
run to the restroom real fast. Y'all keep
yeah,
talking, but I cannot
go
wait
for
any
it.
longer.
Yeah.
But for player deaths, I always try creating an invested world. D&D isn't something that is a one-sided story, and it never should be. Uh, I've seen the one comment of Jask, you like to injure their little heart. But so a communal world that's shared, players should have a vested interest in it. And I think that's the best form of storytelling is when you can, something happens and the players take over. Like a player death. I have several characters that character players have lost that they're still recurring in the campaign from people. The players not forgetting them because the players or the characters meant so much to the rest of the players. And that sort of investment for some of the players who say like if they lost a character they'd be done with the campaign. That sort of investment there I've noticed has helped other players stay in the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
They lose their character, but then the love that the other players had for that character shows them that they meant something, that that world was good to them.
Yeah. And like I know I keep saying like I could never get or I could never be like that. I'll just keep going with another character. I've been saying that in the chat, but like I wasn't always that way. And it only comes because of I have always ran characters like this where like they just have no sense of self-preservation. It's my favorite way to run characters. And they would die and then I'd be like, well, they're dead. I was really attached to that character. I don't know if I want to play anymore. And I got tired of feeling that way constantly because I can't have characters that aren't French kissing Death's Taint all the time. So
that's an interesting way to put it, Jask.
So like I just over time through exposure learned to not be so attached. And I know that not everybody can do that. Like that is, and it's not always the healthiest way to deal with it too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that comes from DMing, though, honestly.
Yeah, that definitely helps too.
I think a lot of it comes for like you're used to having the characters you create as a DM just get slaughtered by the players.
Yeah.
And like see, it's interesting. It's interesting that you both say that because I think that's why I don't care if my characters get messed up. Is because I'm so used to them getting messed up as a DM. Because, like, my wife's like that. You know, she creates a character, she puts all this time to it, and I know that if her character was to die, she'd be super bummed about it, you know? But if Eugene, like, if you were to kill Eugene next session, I would just be like, all right, I get to play somebody else now.
Yeah, like, and I think that's a hallmark of almost any DM. Not just because you're so used to seeing your characters die, but if you're a DM, you're probably a forever DM because there's so few people that want to DM.
Yeah.
So you have like 10 billion characters. I have a Google Docs folder that has, at last count, somewhere in the 100 mark of characters. I've played like 17 of them for D&D. So like when a character dies, I'm like, oh no, what other characters do I have at level or close?
Hey, Lindsay, hey. It's okay. Listen, if he dies, it'll be specifically to protect you guys, so it's okay.
Oh man. And another thing I wanted to touch on about the topic of character death is that as a DM, don't force it on the player. Like, yeah, sometimes it would seem unavoidable, but like something I've learned to do is instead of having a character die, they just lose a limb.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
They still get punished for the failure and for the actions taken and for the bad luck or for whatever, but they don't lose the whole character. Because not everybody can handle that. Like with Mazzles Frazzles, they were talking about how if their character died, they don't know they'd want to continue a campaign. Well, then you don't kill the character. Any DM that would force that character to die I feel like needs to rethink that.
See, I've done that with certain. I know this is gonna sound bad. I call them like like the suicidal players, where they have so many characters that they want to play, that they make a character, they build a backup character, and they realize they want to play that backup character way more than their new character, but they don't want to like ask the DM or whatnot of, hey, is there any way that I could like theoretically like remove this character and add this character in, stuff like that. Is I'll do the like the maiming and stuff like that. Like, I know they're trying to kill their character. I know they're trying to like, but like they might want that character back later. Like, I'm not gonna, because I've had that happen where they kill their character, they bring one character only to realize that on paper he was cool, but when they didn't really like playing the character, and they're like, is there any way I can bring back this last character? I'm like, you just had his head ripped off by a demon. Like,
I was gonna put that back on. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I have a perfect example of this. It happened just recently in the Heckna campaign. Prubun in the stream was playing a character named Olive, and they decided they weren't really vibing with Olive, and they wanted to swap to the character Gilbert, and they just played Olive in a one shot for Heckna tonight, and they want Olive back. Luckily, I didn't kill Olive. I abducted Olive. So what I told them was like, hey, Olive's not dead. If the players find Olive, I mean, you have the choice of playing Olive again. If they're rescued in enough time and you guys fix what's going on with them, because they were abducted by Heckna and had one of those living clown noses put on their nose. So
yeah,
they only have so long to find and fix that if they do that.
See,
but,
I really yeah, that's a really good solution, is letting the players earn back the character.
Yeah.
Something like that. I really enjoy that. One thing I wanted to ask you guys is, have you guys noticed you guys make an NPC and the players get stuck on the NPCs?
Knock,
yes.
knock.
Yes.
I had to kill Knock Knock. I had to kill them to get them to stop.
I made a character. Okay, I made a character named, and why am I blanking on his name right now? I literally nobody could leave him alone. Why am I blanking on the name? Oh my goodness.
Well, you tried to figure out the name. Also, Six Fireseeker. I use him as an NPC a lot, and like people get stuck on him so often. Just because he's a tabaxi with almost no fur, because he keeps blowing himself up. He literally sat in a phoenix nest and convinced the phoenix to let him study it through just attrition of days and days of suffered torture from this phoenix trying to kill him, and him being immune to fire damage and feather falling anytime the phoenix tried to drop him. And so like he's just this very ecstatic, eccentric character who's all obsessed with pyromancy and stuff, and people like interacting with him. Or like Knock Knock, the character you created that uses an NPC, I had to kill to get people to stop.
I remembered his name.
Yeah,
his name is Lysander Thorn, and he was the avatar of the God of Light, but he was a bard who worked for the Concord. And he was the bard leader. He was the head story keeper. And literally one of them married Lysander. And it was great. But we did an in-character wedding and everything. It was beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yes.
See, I have so there was this one day I didn't have much time to prep for work. And Jaska was actually in this game for the damn skunk.
Oh my god, the skunk.
So I didn't have much time to prep. I was working all day. I get home. I had like half hour to eat. So luckily the party the week before triggered a trap that teleports them in random ass directions, and none of them together. So it splits the party. Already DM gymnastics, just trying to get the party back together in the middle of a foresty, wooded mountaintop with definite dragons in the area. And so I ended up having, just out of just improving most of it. I came up with this skunk named Pinky, and he was an awakened skunk, and the one guy like had the skunk help him find all of his friends, and it came down to there was this whole backstory that came out just as a side joke, sort of not supposed to become a thing, like that there was this whole war between the like woodland animals, and then like the blue jays were like coming down and just being jerks and attacking everyone else. And the party like latched on to this conflict to the point where I have a player asking me to literally run a one shot of just the animals. And they're consistently using all of their sending slots, their third level and higher spell slots, to send messages back to these creatures.
In that campaign, like that. I played a character named Godric Leroy, son of Jenkins Leroy.
Oh my god, okay.
Jenkins Leroy was a military man who survived the military, aged out, retired, got land, had a family, and died eventually. So Godric, I don't like martial classes. I tried for as long as I could, didn't like it. Asked Ken if I could swap over to playing Styx Fireseeker instead, and half-assed soloed a dragon because I kept taunting it.
Yeah, we were trying to kill Godric that night. Like, literally, you asked me if I could kill Godric that night.
Yeah, and Godric lived. The dragon. The only time the dragon did damage to anyone else was with its breath weapon attack. That's because it's an AOE, and Godric lived. So when he got back, Ken had this whole thing where like, Jenkins Leroy's previous platoon was essentially conscripting him. He was made into a general of this like little platoon that was going to be a strike force that he got to tell, like he reported to almost no one except for like the higher ups, and the first thing Godric did was he marched into the forest and started killing blue jays with his platoon.
Those jerks.
And literally, yeah, and then the bard Solace, she is sitting there and she's always like contacting Godric with like very alarming statements. She does that with her character's family too. Like, doesn't give all the information and then just has a blanket statement. And Jask, you do absolutely amazing and switching characters on the fly.
Thank you.
To answer with your old character for what's going on.
That is because of LARP. Oh man. So I have a beautiful, amazing partner who I'm going to be marrying soon. And
hell yeah.
And she used to go to LARP with me sometimes, and I play this character named Grimson LeVay, who's this like murderous vampire who studied a bunch of death magic. Yeah, sexy Edgar Allan Poe. Murderous vampire, does a bunch of like, he literally only his only stats were into death magic, so like he could literally kill you with a single word, and he knows it and he flaunts it and he wears that power on his sleeve. And like I would like do this whole thing of like sexy vampire with control and knows he's in control, and then within like 2 minutes of her going through that, I would swap to this character who's just a gremlin named Gremmy the Gremlin, who speaks in a high-pitched voice, constantly screeching about anything and everything, plays little pranks, like I'll go under people's seats, untie their shoelaces, and tie them together, like absolute chaos lad. And like it would give her such emotional whiplash.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love playing characters and character swapping, and it's a lot of fun.
See,
yeah,
I say, and I'll let you go on just a second, Kenneth, but I say that I like playing good boys, but sometimes playing somebody evil is just so nice.
Well, it's satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love playing the big bad evil guys in D&D, and but having them is to the point where it takes the party completely off guard. I'm running on Sundays a completely homebrew setting in the country of Sassel, in the northern part of Faerun, using the demiplane of dread sort of rules from the new Ravenloft book.
Oh, that's dope as hell, homie.
Yeah, so and the big bad guy here is I actually took one of the ancestors of my lawful evil character that I was talking about earlier in the show.
The show. God, we're doing a show. Hey guys, guess what? We're doing a show. People are watching us. We're doing a show, guys. Go on. Continue.
But I had the party. I told the players, I'm like, bring a character that is going to help establish the lore of this place. And so the players brought these characters, and I had them sort of conscripted into this army to help defend this land. And they were being led directly by this character. And these people were absolutely like just in awe with this character. Like, as the players, they knew like something's not right. Like, this guy, like, but the characters themselves were like, wow, this guy is like, he's righteous, he's doing this for the good of the people and stuff like that. And he's secretly just like the evilest dude I've ever created. and the moment where they're at like this like final like this moment, because that they were going through this underground complex and setting these like chimes that they were told would clear the demon presence in the land. And so they'd go and he'd ask each one of the player, please say a prayer to whatever deity you choose or that you worship, and activate this chime. And he's like, and so the players all took a turn going through this and making one. And then for the last one, the party is sitting there, they're fighting off this body snatcher as he kneels down to do this last one. And he says this disturbing, just messed up prayer to some of like just the evilest gods that you can think of. And the party all like unanimously just like stopped combat, looked at him like, oh, we're the bad guys.
Oh, we're the baddies. Oh no.
And then so they're like, but wait a minute, we have to stop him now. We have this big bad guy that's attacking us, but we have to take the fight to this guy and stop whatever he's doing. And so they're fighting this war on two fronts between this battle. And as the chimes are resonating, the big bad guy,
Guys,
I
have to take a phone call real quick. I am sorry. I will be right back.
Okay.
You're totally fine.
My mic.
As he looks to the players, he like grabs one of them and gives them one last chance, like, join me, and history will remember you as heroes. Fight me and we'll see what happens. And they decided to fight, and so he stabbed this crystal, which was the trigger for this device, and the party just detonated the country's government, and it pulled everyone in leadership and pulled everyone to the demiplane of dread, starting the adventure. But just that moment of the party like, oh, we might be the bad guys and we just did this.
Yeah.
It was a cool resonating moment.
Yeah, I always love when stuff like that happens.
Where I had a player literally send me fan mail after that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, I never thought in my life that I'd be receiving fan mail.
All right, I returned.
I can believe it, man. I've played in your games. I can believe it.
Like, and I've never thought that like I've been earning enough money where I'm going to have a down payment for a house just on my D&D income, which is just insane for me.
Hey,
yeah.
Hey, Jask, one day that's going to be us.
I'm here's hoping, man.
One day we will be the kin.
Hey, I've built a nice following and start playing in my Discord. I've been anytime any of my friends are trying to do anything, I build it to build up other people. Like I have a community projects page that I know like Jask uses all the time to put his stuff in. my newest YouTube video, Odyssey of Eternity, for anyone watching, is actually, I call out Jask in that one as well, because he's going to be running me through Hecna here coming very shortly.
Oh
and
my
I'm
god!
actually,
Can I be part of that? Can I be part? I want to.
It's a physical campaign. So I mean, unless you want to move all the way to Michigan, man.
I mean,
or
look, don't
every
don't
Thursday
tip me, dog.
or every other Thursday is when I'm running it. So if you want to fly to Michigan every other Thursday,
Jask, if I made enough money, you bet your sweet ass I'd do that. Oh my god!
Before we get too far away from it, I wanted to touch on one of my favorite moments while playing Grimson LeVay as a D&D character. Because in D&D, he's very different from his LARP form. In D&D, he's a human who was born into a noble family and loved necromancy and was caught digging up the family crypt. And his family was like, no, you're disowned. We're kicking you out of the manor. And he was like, oh, no, don't kick me out of the manor. How about I be a servant? I'll cook you a meal to prove that I can be of worth. And they're like, fine, you got one meal to wow us. And he poisoned all of his brothers and sisters and left his mom and dad alone. So I was playing him in a campaign that ran very shortly on, I believe, Sundays, with Ken as one of the players in it.
that was a great group of characters that we had.
Ken played a goblin. Was it a goblin or hobgoblin?
It was a goblin named Grub with... I rolled for stats and I got 3 18s, which all went into the martial, like Constitution, Dexterity, Strength. But then I rolled 2 4s and a 5, which went in Charisma, Wisdom, and Intelligence. So he was the dumbest of boys, but he was so good.
Literally like a step away from the same intelligence as a dog. But at one point, like at the very beginning, where we come into this village that's been attacked and like it's partially destroyed, and he walks into a tavern, and Grim's the only human of the group. Everybody else is goblins and a hobgoblin. So Grim's the face. And at one point, somebody's talking to Grim, and they just keep insulting him, and Grim's like, I'll have you know that I'm a noble, and I will not stand for you insulting me in the company I keep. Because they keep talking about how could you have a bunch of goblins following you? And the person just kept being shitty to Grim, so he's just like, okay, I'm walking away from this. Walked away, took the goblins into the kitchen, and convinced the goblins to start opening up sacks of flour and just throwing it all around in the air. He's just like, oh yeah, look at this fun game, look at this little chaos we're causing. And he walks out into the main room, still doing the same thing, and takes some of the flour and just throws it into the person's face, like, haha, look, I got you. And then he steps out of the building, calls the goblins to him, and he turns around to look at the person and goes, so I know you're not a person of intelligence, because if you were, you would have already left. And the other one of the goblins from the party was, I know what he's doing, and threw firebolt into the room. So for those that don't know, there's a thing called a powder explosion, where if there's enough fine particulate matter in the air, it explodes. Grimson had filled the air with particulate matter, flour, and it exploded the building.
Oh, that stunned one of the players so much. They got stuck on that for a week.
Yep. And it was all, and it's not even like the person tried to attack us. They just slighted him. They made him a little upset because they kept talking about how dare he have the company of goblins, and he is like, you cannot judge me for the company I keep, you piece of shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Grimson and Samuel would get along very well because Kenneth, I know Jask knows a little bit about Samuel, but the tagline that I introduced Samuel with is, "You don't have to tell me, darling. I know I'm better than you." And yeah, he's great. So just that whole thing, I was like, I want them to vibe. I want them to be pals.
In fact, the only reason why Godric got played in Kenneth's Monday game was because he asked me to play a good character. At first, I was like, I'm going to play Grimson. He was like, please, I need good.
I want what, because I keep getting like people bringing like evil characters and stuff like that. And as a DM, I've never had a good aligned party. And on start playing, you get a lot of different people, and almost all of them have been absolutely wonderful. I was having a little bit of issues with a player that wanted to play in that, and they wanted to play a very evil character, and their last character was not, they did not play it right. and it took away from the game. So I blanket statement was like, hey, I just want all good characters for this one. It makes sense for the story. Let's keep it this way. And I got some really great characters from it. Jask chafed at it a lot at first. He's like, "Can I be the exception?" I'm like,
I need to play my boy.
I'm like, I trust you with this, but like, not at the moment. And I explained things to him, and he was more than okay. And actually, Godric was Godric and Solace, I'd have to say, are probably the two biggest reasons that party came together.
Yeah.
As a group. And then, but like you were saying, like Godric and your character vibing, I'm like, I'd throw Veladreth in there, and the three of them would be just a force of just assholery.
Oh yeah, like I so badly. Like, now that you're talking about your games and stuff, I'm like, man, I want to play Eugene and have Kenneth and fucking...
Yeah, I mean, Kenneth is an amazing DM. I'm actually... Wait, Ken, can you send me the link for your GM profile, and I'll throw it into the Discord?
Yeah. Actually, the easiest way, come to find out... but if I actually find GMs...
Yep.
Sort by
also, by the way, on the website Start Playing, the website I use to do my D&D stuff, the website Ken uses, Ken, you're in the top, what was it, 20 now?
Yeah. So someone just beat me out. I was number 15 out of over 3,000 DMs that they currently have on the site. I don't believe it myself. But now I am number 16, as someone just beat me out by one review. And I've done birthday parties. I've done several books. I'm a campaign DM. I can do one-shots here and there, but I absolutely love running like in the long form.
That's incredibly tasty. I do too.
Yeah. I prefer the long form, but like I figured to get my like footing, it'd be better for me to do one shot. So I've been circulating these Heckna one shots over and over, and like I love them. I love doing them. They're so fun. But I now that I've got the Heckna campaign going,
yeah, I'm excited for the Heckna. I don't know a lot about Heckna, and I'm super excited about it. Also, I'll send you my YouTube link that's also associated with that channel.
So,
but yeah, I know I should be like advertising myself and stuff, but instead, Kenneth,
I mean,
send him money.
Look, okay. So we stand everyone in this podcast. Okay, we lift each other up.
Oh, absolutely.
Just, but Ken, you got a little bit harder pull than us. So like, just put your back into it. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
See,
go ahead.
I just have to laugh because never in my wildest dreams, like if you would have asked me 5 years ago if you would have told me 5 years ago that, hey, you're going to be making money on the internet, playing D&D, running D&D, it's going to, like, I'd look at you and I'm like, A, what's D&D? And B, like, no.
Well,
and because D&D is new to me. Like I got in I think in 2018, maybe 2017. Wow, it's actually going on like 4 years now. And I've just fallen in love. I have ADHD really bad, and I've never found the serotonin and dopamine that hard than with D&D.
Very correct, sir. But it was something that me and Jask were talking about this in just like a personal call while I was showing him, I was showing him the stream and everything and like getting stuff set up. And he was like, I forget exactly how you said it, but like my dad told me I'd never make money doing D&D, and look at me now. Like,
like, I was literally about to bring that up.
Like my dad told me, you'll never make money playing video games, like, and I've made over $1,000 this year playing video games. Like,
I was 69 of that.
Yeah. And Jask was 69 of that. Hell yeah.
When I had my factory job, I made sure to donate $69.
Can we get some 69 pogs in the chat, please? Just for me. Can we get some nice? Just for me. Yeah, nice. Yes. But like the fact, okay, so if you would have told me, I'm going to do this now. If you would have told me that, 5 years ago when I was depressed and suicidal and everything like that, if you would have told me 5 years ago that the Jim, would be on a podcast with two of my friends just shooting the shit about D&D, like, first of all, I don't have any friends. Secondly, like, D&D is just something that I do in my spare time. Why would people want to listen to me? Like, but here I am doing it, and we're having fun. There's people that are watching. There's 9 people. That's 18 eyeballs. If you all have 2 eyes.
I was going to say, that's assuming a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't know them.
I don't know. I don't know that. But if you do, that's 9 more people than I thought would want to listen to me.
Oh, somebody got offended. We're now at 8.
Yeah. Oh, we're now. Oh, shit. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. You can leave if you want to. I understand you're busy.
But yeah, it's such a surreal feeling to turn a hobby into something that can actually like make money.
Mm.
Yeah,
for me,
for sure.
For me, it came down to I got really sick last year.
Uh-huh.
I was to the point where I was stuck in a recliner for months. To the point where work even told me, they're like, "Hey, we can't tell you to leave to go on medical, but like, you need to get out and go on medical." And I'm like, okay. And so I did the paperwork, but I wasn't making money. I didn't want to lose. I was going to lose my car and stuff like that. So I seen a mutual D&D person that I respect very highly in the field. He was posting on Start Playing and saying that he was trying it out. And I'm like, maybe I'll give that a try. Like, I have people that used to play at the game shops and stuff like that. I can probably find some people. And it's just exploded. I've been doing it for about 8-9 months as an actual professional GM now. And it's gotten me through like where my work paycheck hasn't been enough. And I've been able to save up a lot of money. And which is something I've never been good at. Was raised that like you get $1 or you spend that dollar, or you get $1, you spend $1.50 actually, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And so it's been teaching me responsibility. It's been teaching me the motivation, like the YouTube stuff. I absolutely hate editing videos. I liked it at first, and then after after every session, it became a chore, and so I fell off of it for a little bit, and so, but like, it's teaching me that hey, you gotta do things, you gotta keep going, you gotta follow your dreams, chase that dopamine.
Yeah. And it all tails back. It all cycles back to D&D.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty. That's the beauty of tabletop, I think. Like that's the reason why we're here, and
yeah, I mean, so like I have anxiety issues with feeling trapped places. So like one day I was working at a factory job, and I realized that if I were to leave, then I would get fired if I were to just, get up and go. And it made me realize I am trapped. Not like doors are locked, but because if I leave, I get fired. It gave me such anxiety. Like, it gave me like the same kind of feeling as if I was locked in a box. And it really messed me up. And like ever since then, like trying to work at places, I will spiral so hard. So very fast. I think the only place I've actually been able to like hold down for a very long time was a place called I've already forgotten the name, but it was a factory that was it's CRW. That's what it was. And that's just because that place was such a mess, such a shit show that there was such a laid
pepper.
back energy.
The pepper.
The pepper. There was a pepper sitting on a shelf in a well-traveled area for like 2.5 months. I have a Discord that I use for D&D stuff, and every day I would take a picture of the pepper and be like, "Hey guys, it's still here. We're doing a pepper check."
Was that the place with the boat?
We're doing the pepper check.
Yes, that's they had a boat in their shipping and receiving area because like the son went out and used company money to buy a boat, but then nobody wanted to buy a boat. So when the dad found out and was trying to sell off the boat, he couldn't sell it. So he just named it the company boat and put it in the shipping and receiving area.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
The fact that it's in the shipping and receiving area is so much better.
Rim shot.
We weren't allowed to put boxes on the floor because the place would just flood sometimes. Sometimes it would just flood, and you would have like up to your ankle high water in some areas. And it's like, why? At one point, we had a part coming through that like the parts ran really hot, and you would have to put them into this water vat thing. And some absolute big brain dingus was like, yes, these parts need to go into a thing of water. So we will fill up the thing of water completely full, all the way to the rim. Parts take up space.
Yeah, water displacement.
So like that place was such a mess. Like there's literally like if you turned off your machine, you were allowed to walk away from it. There was a time where I was just super stressed out, and I shut down my machine and I walked away, went outside for like 30 minutes. Eventually my supervisor came by and was like, oh, what? You're out here? And I'm like, yeah, I'll be back in a minute. And he's like, okay. Did you turn off your machine? Yep. Okay. And just went back in.
See, I remember you literally playing D&D from that factory.
He did.
I was playing D&D from it. So like
great.
that's the only job I was able to hold down because I didn't feel that feeling of being trapped. I felt like if I were to walk out, as long as I turned off my machine first, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
But like anywhere else, I've always felt so trapped. And so recently I had to get a gas station job, which was not great. And my wonderful roommate is currently paying extra rent to make sure I don't have to have that gas station job. He's paying extra rent to cover the amount that I need so that I can pursue this amazing career in trying to do DM stuff. And like it's so nice to not feel that being trapped and being able to tell stories and get paid for that. And like it's so relieving and good for my brain.
Oh, it's an absolutely amazing feeling to do your passion without like and getting rewarded for it.
Yeah. And like I want to give a quick shout out to Lindsay and I don't think they're in this stream particularly, but Paul as well. Because like, well, a bunch of people have supported me, and absolutely shout out to them as well. Lindsay has like at one point I briefly mentioned, hey, I want to run City of Mist for you guys at some point. I'll get the books when I can afford to get the books, but when it's gonna happen when I can. Literally after I mentioned that, I got a donation from Lindsay for the amount for the books.
Nubby, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Hello, Nubby Durg.
Welcome to the Skeleton Army.
And then like Paul also, every time Paul plays in a game of mine, he pays for himself and then also pays me like again. Like I charge 15 per seat, and I'll get another 15 through my my tip jar thing I have.
Mm-hmm.
See, I have a player very much the same way. We call him my patron, my warlock patron, or my benefactor, stuff like that, because he's just so generous and so awesome as a friend. Like he's got me the new book that's coming out. He's paid for other players that maybe couldn't afford a seat for the night. He's sent, like, he found out like me and my girlfriend like to paint minis sometimes, so we had like an entire care package of paints and minis sent to our way.
Shit, that's cool as fuck.
Yeah, like this dude is absolutely awesome, and I never would have met these like him or any of these people if it wasn't for this hobby, this tabletop
yeah,
stuff.
for sure,
D&D,
for
man.
sure. Like another good example of that kind of behavior, Lindsay and Paul both, and Jim also, have, because there's some people in my Heckna campaign that aren't in the best financial situations. And the three of them all, like literally on the same night, individually messaged me and mentioned, "Hey, if anybody can't afford their session for a night, let me know. I'll cover them."
Mm.
And
Well-
like, I felt such pride for this group I have.
My whole
it's-
thing is just like I want everyone to be able to experience it, and like I know the money is going to a good cause. It's going to you, so why not? You know?
Yeah.
See, I was something. Here's a bit of. I want to pat my players on the back here. I did a raffle a couple months back for Jasper's Game Day, bringing it back to that charity. And my goal was to get $500 for the month for the raffle. I had a couple limited edition books I was giving away. I was had some like dice towers, dice, bunch of like just giveaways. And we did an awesome we were raising a bit of money through the raffle, but then we did a dollar reroll night. And this is just one table, 7 players. The dice tell a story, and the dice were not with them that night. However, their wallets were. And they made sure they did good. And it was all for the all for charity. We ended up going from, I think it was $180 raised all the way up to $580 that night, just due to dollar rerolls that the players were doing, because they were being so generous with their time, with their money, all for a good cause. And I just feel blessed that I've been able to meet these amazing people through this hobby and through Start Playing. And that we were able to give that much money to the charity, straight to the charity. We even had the actual founder of the charity come in for the live stream reveal and to accept the money, which was cool.
For those joining us late, Jasper's Game Day is a suicide prevention D&D thing that is absolutely amazing and fantastic. I posted the website in the chat. Check it out.
Yeah, no
Absolutely
one has to roll.
support them.
No one rolls initiative alone.
Yep.
So it's getting upon that time, and I feel like this is a good thing to end it on. We're actually just past the 2-hour mark, which is usually about how long I want to cut these things.
Yep.
So, Ken?
Yeah.
I want to have you back on, dude. Like,
I was gonna say.
I
feel like we only scratched the surface of things I wanted to talk about.
I feel like because I have like 6 other things that we just didn't talk about, but like, we could.
Absolutely.
And I know next week we're having your friend who runs your LARP on, right?
Yeah, yep, because I have this weekend is the LARP, so I wanted it to be like fresh in our minds.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, look forward to that. We'll be talking about LARP, and I've never LARPed, so like it'll be interesting for me. I have so many questions.
I'll make the both of you LARP.
Yeah, that'd be fair. Dude, bro, I want to be Cedric with you two motherfuckers so bad. Dude, bro, dude. Good, sweet, gentle Lord. Okay, I'm gonna keep on gushing about stuff, but I do want to wrap it up.
Yep.
As much as I would like to keep gushing about things, it is 11 o'clock my end, so I think I kind of want to go to sleep. But Ken, thank you very much for coming out.
Hey, thanks for having me. I wouldn't have missed it. Jessica invited me, and it wasn't even a discussion in my head. It was like, hey, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I also I meant to mention this before, Jim. Mm-hmm. So remember how I told you that I play with a very, very older woman named Ree?
Yeah.
Ken, I forget what exactly you told me about Ree. What was it?
So she's told us that she is the first published female author for D&D Adventures. There's one woman that has beaten her, but that woman used a pen name and was going under a man's name to publish. But she is the first published woman for Dungeons and Dragons.
That's awesome. That's. Can we get her on the show?
Yeah, she's literally one of the players in the campaign Ken runs on Thursdays. That I'm going to be taking over doing every other week for Heckna. And I've already talked to her, and she's down for it.
Oh, that's fucking wonderful. Okay. All right. Well, look forward to that at some point then, too, you guys, I guess. But what I wanted to say is I kind of wanted to go down, and before we ended, have like a little, this is who I am, this is what I do, just in descending order. I'll go last because it's my channel. Ken, please take it away. Give him a little spiel about yourself before we leave.
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Kenneth. I'm a DM at Start Playing. Been running that for about 8 months. My ultimate goal is to help people, to make people leave the table happy and feeling like they matter in the world. And it's something that just blows my mind. My YouTube channel is Odyssey of Eternity. Same thing on Start Playing and on Twitch, but I'm not very active yet on Twitch. Just want to say thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. And I think I seen someone already signed up or requested one of my in the chat for one of my tables. So awesome. Thanks, Undead, it looks like.
Yeah. All right, Jask.
I'm Jask or Daidari or a multitude of other names. But mostly Jask. I also am a DM through Start Playing with Start Playing /Daidari. And I'm trying to get my foot in the door on this Start Playing thing, but I'm getting there. And then also we stream one of my campaigns through this channel because boy, can I not be fucked to do all the work that goes into streaming, but thank God I have Jim as my man in the chair.
Yes.
Really helps with the motivation. I mean, I sometimes struggle to even prep for the one campaign I'm running. But Jim over here absolutely rescuing my ass and getting this stream going. I'm so glad we've been streaming that, by the way. It's so much fun.
About you, homie.
Too bad. I support my friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and then I LARP, I do D&D. Basically, escapism is my thing.
Oh, the Dokuro compliments before we leave. Yes, the compliments.
Yes.
Okay.
We need to do the Dokuro compliments. Somebody did redeem that.
We'll end on the compliments, but I'll do my thing. Jask, finish.
Yep. I did finish.
Okay. Hey, everybody, my name is Dokuro Jim. Jim. I play, thank you for another Dokuro compliments, but I play card games, hard games, and puzzle games every Monday here on twitch.tv/Dokuro Jim. I love entertaining people and making people happy with my very interesting sense of humor. I will say that. Basically, you can just say corn in a funny voice and I'll laugh. That's my interesting sense of humor.
PP boys.
Yeah, exactly. Don't make me laugh when I'm trying to do stuff. All right, so, God damn it! All right. Shit, I can't. I've lost all my composure. Now. Basically, we stream Heckna every other Saturday, except this time it'll be on it'll be on other Sunday this time, not other Saturday.
Yep, but, we're doing one session on a Sunday because I have 2 LARPs in a row.
Mm-hmm. But look forward to that. Look forward to some more roguelikes on the 19th, September the 19th. But look forward to some more roguelikes on Mondays, and look forward to this every Tuesday, hopefully with rotating guests. But honestly, if Ken has to be our guest that we pull in when we have no other guests, I'm fine with that. Because I could talk to this man for hours. And I mean that as a compliment. A very nice compliment.
Did.
Yeah.
Maybe I appreciate it. Yeah. It's been a blast.
Maybe this will be 3 DMs, 1 podcast. I don't know. The joke will be that'll be the joke now. You know, if I have to tell you the joke, you're too young. Anyway, Dokuro compliments. I want to compliment Jask and Kenneth, first of all. Kenneth, I have never immediately clicked with someone, like, immediately, as soon as they open their mouth. And then I was like, I like this dude. This dude is good. This is a good dude. This is a man that I could be friends with. Jask, what do I even have to say to you? I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, I love you, man. You're my friend, and we're doing shit together. And like, it's just, I've never been able to do shit with anybody before, and like, feel like we're actually doing something, you know. And now it's like, it's so good. It's so good. And that's my compliment to you. I'm not gonna go through and compliment everybody in the chat, but I am gonna single out the people who complimented, that being Prubun and Maz and Lindsay. Lindsay, you're fantastic, man. Like,
oh my god, for real though.
Like I fucking, like, it's weird because I don't know you that well, but like, again, like, same thing with Ken. I feel like I could be so much friends. I feel like I could be so much friends with you. And Riley, I also don't know you very well, but like, I like you. You're cool. And I hope that we can become better friends. And Maz, same thing. I mean, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but like, I don't know you very well, but I feel like we could be friends, you know? And I'd like to be. But yeah, if you guys want to say anything to the chat or to each other, Jask and
sticking with tradition, because we're technically co-hosting this, the compliments I will also do. So for Ken, you've been like literally my best friend since I was 4. Since
same.
I was visiting Michigan. Since before I moved to Michigan. You've been like one of my best friends, and absolutely love talking to you. I recently actually remembered when my name was Jeff, and I'm pretty sure it was you that did, like, you were supposed to talk about your best friend, and you told me that you did that thing, and you were like, yeah, there's only the only way to describe it is Jeff.
Yep.
But yeah, I fucking absolutely adore you. Love being in your games. I am not surprised that you're doing so well and Start Playing. You really deserve it. And you're an amazing DM that knows how to roll with the punches and let players do. I mean, you dealt with Yorl. That's all I need to say. You dealt with Yorl. Jim, I'm absolutely so excited to be doing this with you. It's a fun adventure. Absolutely so glad. I mean, ever since realizing that D&D podcasts were a thing, and like actual play for D&D was a thing that you could do online, I've been wanting to do it.
Yeah, right.
But never had the energy to, get that started. And now I have you for that. Mm-hmm. And it's been really fun for that. Lindsay, you were my first customer. Literally on Start Playing, you were the first person ever to sign up for my tables, and literally the day you signed up, I was thinking, nobody signed up for my table. I don't know if I'm going to get any interest. Maybe I should just, try and find a different avenue. Maybe I should just go back to working at this gas station, or like focus on working at this gas station. And no, you then signed up for that table and like got me thinking, okay, wait, maybe I was being a little hasty. And like, you turned out to be just such a great player. Oh my god, May and Fettuccine are so iconic. I absolutely love them. And then Mazzles, we've known each other for like, what, 2 weeks now? 3 weeks? I don't know. Time is weird. Time is stupid. And we're already super close and very good friends, and I love talking to you. And Prubon, you're amazing. Gilbert is my favorite character of yours, but I absolutely love Olive as well. I love the brooding family man paladin. It's fun. But and role playing with you and having you in my campaigns are absolutely a delight.
Ken, you want to say anything to people?
Yeah, sure. First off, I'll start with you, Jim. It's been absolutely phenomenal talking to you. It feels like you said, we've known each other for years, even though we just met 2 hours ago. And more than willing to be a guest anytime you guys need. But great. Yeah, we'll have to play a game sometime together. Set something up.
Yes. 100%. I will give you a crisp Benjamin right now. I will just throw it at you. Yes.
But it feels like we've known each other for a while. It's great getting to know you tonight. Shooting the shit about D&D and stuff like that. Thank you so much for having me, Jask. Like I said, like you were saying, I've known you almost my entire life. I know sometimes I haven't been like the best friend, but we always come back and we always like pick up like nothing ever happened. Like we can go months without talking or even years in some points, and then we come back and it's like we didn't miss a second. And some of my best memories of my childhood is all those crazy wild parties that we'd have at your house, the sleepovers.
The ladle.
The goddamn ladle. I still can't look at those things without laughing.
You gotta tell me the ladle story next podcast.
I will.
It is a story of stories.
That was a voice crack.
Yeah, but I just can't say enough. I'm super proud of you, man. Super proud of who you've become. And I wish you nothing but the best for start playing and following your passions and the podcast and stuff like that. So
thank you.
Wholesome hours in the chat. All right. Are we good? Are we done?
Yeah.
Are we emotionally open and shut? Are we Papa Roach in this chat? All right.
Devotion and dopamine. I love that.
Yes.
D&D. I love that.
Devotion.
Absolutely
and
love it.
Dopamine. All right. So I'm calling it here. Definitive bookend. All right. So from the both of us here at 2DMs1 Podcast, remember, don't ever roll with greasy hands.
Or do. We're not your dads. We can't tell you.
Or do. I don't care. All right. Bye, guys. We'll see you next Tuesday.